नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 4, entitled The Incarnations of Godhead. Text 3. भूतैर्यदा पञ्चभिरात्मसृष्टै भूतैर्यदा पञ्चभिरात्मसृष्टै पुरं विराजं विरचय्यात् तस्मिन् पुरं विराजं विरचय्य तस्मिन् स्वांशेन विष्टपुरुषाभिधानम् स्वांशेन विष्टपुरुषाभिधानम् अवाप नारायण आदिदेव अवाप नारायण आदिदेव भूतैर्यदा पञ्चभिरात्मसृष्टै पुरं विराजं विरचय्य तस्मिन् स्वांशेन विष्टपुरुषाभिधानम् अवाप नारायण आदिदेव भूतैर्यदा पञ्चभिरात्मसृष्टै पुरं विराजं विरचय्य तस्मिन् स्वांशेन विष्टपुरुषाभिधानम् अवाप नारायण आदिदेव भूतैर्यदा पञ्चभिरात्मसृष्टै पुरं विराजं विरचय्य तस्मिन् स्वांशेन विष्टपुरुषाभिधानम् अवाप नारायण आदिदेव. भूते यदा पञ्चभि आत्मसृष्टै पुरं विराजं विरचय्य तस्मिन् स्वांशेन विष्टपुरुषाभिधानम् अवाप नारायण आदिदेव. भूतैर्यदा पञ्चभिरात्मसृष्टैर् पुरं विराजं विरचय्य तस्मिन् स्वांशेन विष्टपुरुषाभिधानम् अवाप नारायण आदिदेव. Word to word translation. Bhutai, by the material elements. Yada, when. Panchabhihi, 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air and ether. Atmasrishtai, created by himself. Puram, the body. Virajam, of the universe in its subtle form. Virachai, having constructed. Tasmin, within that. Swamshena, in the manifestation of his own plenary expansion. Vishtai, entering. Purusha abhidhanam, the name Purusha. Avapa, assumed. Narayanaha, Lord Narayan. Adidevaha, the original personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. When the primeval Lord Narayan created His universal body out of the 5 elements produced from Himself and then entered within that universal body by His own plenary portion, He thus became known as the Purusha. The words purport. The words Bhutai Panchabihi in this verse refer to the 5 gross material elements earth, water, fire, air, and sky, which form the basic building blocks of the material world. When the conditioned living entity enters within these 5 elements, consciousness becomes manifest along with the functions of the mind and intelligence. Unfortunately, the consciousness manifest under the modes of material nature is governed by ahankar or false ego, in which the living entity wrongly considers himself the enjoyer of the material elements. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottam, enjoys His pure transcendental existence in the spiritual sky, the material elements are also meant for His enjoyment through the process of yajna or sacrifice. This material world is called Devi Dham, or the abode of the illusory energy of the Lord Maya Devi. The Brahma Samhita explains that the Supreme Person is not at all attracted to his inferior energy Maya. But when the material creation is used in the devotional service of the Lord becomes attracted by the devotion and sacrifice of the living entities, and thus indirectly He is also the enjoyer of the material world. We should not think that the pastimes of Lord Narayan as the super soul and creator of this universe are on a lower spiritual level than Narayana's eternal pastime in the spiritual world. Were Lord Narayan in any way to diminish his transcendental bliss and knowledge in his activities of material creation, he would have to be considered a conditioned soul, affected by contact with the illusory potency. But since Lord Narayan is eternally aloof from the influence of Maya, his activities as the supersoul of this universe are exactly on the same transcendental level as his activities in the spiritual world. All the activities of the Supreme Person of Godhead are part and parcel of his unlimited spiritual pastimes. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter we are continuing the discussion between Nimi and Navayogendras. Now Nimi, after discussing many questions, now he is asking, or he want to know, what are the different incarnations of Godhead. Especially he is asking, what are the incarnation that had happened before? Now they are continuing in the present, and what will happen in the future, as that is the future incarnation of Krishna or Godhead. He wants to know that. So in response to this question, one of the sage whose name was Drumila, he was replying to his questions. So while replying to the question, he first explains about the Purusha incarnation of the Lord. Now, there are 6 categories of Lord's incarnation as described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sanatan Goswami, when he was being instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described 6 categories of incarnation, out of which the first category is Purusha incarnation. You must have heard the name Karodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Shirodakshay Vishnu. These are the Purusha incarnation of the Lord. The second category is called Leela Avatar, the Leela category, where there are 23 to 24 incarnations of the Godhead as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto as well as second canto. This categories of Leela Avatar has been described. The third is Guna Avatar, in which 3 gunas the Lord accepts or utilizes these gunas to perform his pastimes. So in the 3 guna avatar, he appears as Lord Brahma, he appears as Lord Vishnu, and he appears as Lord Shiva. So these are his guna avatar. Next is Shaktyavesha avatar. These are the avatars of the Lord. Basically, within the Shaktyavesha avatar, there are again 2 categories. That is, he Vibhuti avatar as well as Shakti Avesha. So Vibhutis are different glorious things which we see, just like we see big banyan tree. Just like in Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita, he describes the 10th chapter. In this 10th and 11th chapter, there are Vibhutis of the Lord. So there are many things which we see wonderful, many wonderful things. So those are the Vibhutis. So that are also incarnation of the Lord. As well as Shakti Avesha, that means as ordinary Jiva, he is been especially empowered by God to perform some wonderful activities. So one example is Lord Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is one of the Shaktyavesha avatar of the Lord Krishna. He is especially empowered to perform the task of writing the Vedas in a written form. Similarly, Narada Muni is also one of the Shaktyavesha avatar of the Lord. He is especially empowered to propagate bhakti all over the universe. So in that way, the 4th category is Shaktyavesha avatar. 5th category is called as Manvantar avatar. So there are total 14 Manus that appears in a day of Brahma. So all these 14 Manus, in each Manu there is an incarnation of Krishna or Vishnu who helps Manu to establish the religious process for that Manvantara. So accordingly, since there are 14 Manus in a day of Brahma, so there are 14 Manvantar avatars in a day of Brahma. And the 6th category is called Yuga avatar, which will be described in the next chapter. For each Yuga, Satyug, Tretayug, Dwapar and Kali Yuga, for all these 4 Yugas, there is one incarnation that established the religious principle to deliver a fallen soul from this world. So as we all know, for Kali Yuga, the Yuga avatar is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who established the process of religion of chanting the holy name of Krishna. So these are the 6 categories which will be described. Not all the 6 categories will be described, but some of the incarnation among the 6 categories will be described in these 2 chapters. So Drumila, the present verse which is under discussion, Drumila is explaining about the Purusha avatar. Now, what is the meaning of this Purusha avatar? Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, describes Purusha avatar are the super soul. Purusha avatars are the super soul. So there are 3 super soul. Now you will say, how Prabhu? I have heard only one super soul. That is within our body. Yes, that is one super soul. But there are 2 more super souls are there. One is for the Virata Purusha. Here it is described when the primeval Lord Narayan created his universal body. Now what is this universal body? That is the Virata Rupa of the Lord. That is this Brahmanda, the material creation that is manifested by Lord Narayan. That is the universal body. And that is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, in a very elaborate manner. You will be surprised to know there are this universal body or Virata Purusha description is described almost 4 times in Srimad Bhagavatam. So something which is repeated once, twice, thrice, we understand it is very important. Unless it is important, why it will be repeated? And Srila Prabhupada also say, something which is important should be repeated almost always. And second thing is that the emphasis, if you want to emphasize something, again those things should be repeated. So since Srimad Bhagavatam, in the very starting of the Bhagavatam itself, there are 4 times Virata Purusha has been described. So now this shows that Virat Purusha understanding is so important and so critical to understand the glories of the Lord. And that's why in the beginning itself the Virat Purusha has been described. So, and when we read this Purusha avatar description, that how sun and moon are the eyes of the Lord, hairs are the trees are the hairs of the Lord, the rivers are his veins, the the mountains are the bones of the Lord. When we read all these things, sometimes devotee get bored. Oh, why this thing always repeating again and again? No, it is important. Because unless and until we come to understand that how God is manifesting himself in this creation, how we can appreciate the personal form of the Lord. Just like people sometimes say that, oh Lord, oh Prabhu, why we worship Krishna in a deity form? God is everywhere. So people say that, why to go to temple? God is everywhere. So we tend to say that, yes, God is everywhere and he is also in the temple. But God in everywhere we cannot access him. But God in temple we can access him and can serve him. So it is always better to come in temple and serve the Lord rather than saying that God is everywhere and not serving the God. But there are certain people who doesn't like to worship the form of the Lord. They like to worship the energies of the Lord. So for such people also, the Lord Vibhutis or this Virat understanding of the Lord is very important. Some people worship mountains, some people worship trees, some people worship some celestial objects. So that is also one of the aspect of the Lord himself in its Purusha form. So in this way, those who doesn't have the understanding of personal form of the Lord, even these people can worship God in its all-pervasive form, in the form of his energies. So the Virata Purusha is his all-pervasive material form. So you will ask, again the question arises. So then if it is God's form, can we see that form? Prabhupada described the Virata Purusha as an imaginary form. It doesn't exist, but it is a imaginary form. If it doesn't exist, then how it can have a form? So for that purpose, there is one simple example by which we can understand. Let's say every organization has a manager, department heads, some person is there at the top. Let's say this temple. Now let us design a Virat understanding of this temple. Okay? Let us design a Virat understanding of this temple. So if I wish to draw a painting of this temple Virat Purusha or temple Purusha, if I have to design, what I will do, I will make a head and I will label it. The head of the temple is the president. Okay? The head of the temple is president. The brain of the temple are its council members. They are thinking, they are processing. Then there must be, to that president, for president there must be somebody is a right hand, somebody is a left hand. Generally we see, oh, he's a right hand of this person. That means he is always there to help every activities. So in that way the right hand can be assigned a name of that person. Sometimes we see, oh, he is the eyes and ears of that president. Sometimes we see like that. That means the president, even if he is not there in the temple, he, through his agencies, let's say some devotee, like let's say Hari Bhakti Prabhu, or some other devotee like Krishna Sundar Prabhu, we may call that they are the eyes and ears of the temple presidents. So in that way, each and everything we can describe as a Purusha form. But does this form exist? No, this form doesn't exist. But it is an imaginary form. It doesn't exist, but it is imaginary. Similarly, Krishna or the Supreme Lord, Lord Narayan, in his Virat understanding, exists everywhere in his energies. He exists everywhere in his energies. We call it as a Virat Purusha, which is an imaginary thing that literally doesn't exist, but we have created to understand some form of the Lord. Since people are very much interested in God doesn't have any form, or formless God understanding is so prevalent in this world, that to bring them to the form of the Lord, or to bring them to the form understanding of the Lord, there is a need of a bridge from formless to the form. So how to build that bridge? So that bridge can be built through this process of Virat Purusha. By saying, oh, this temple is not running on its own. There is a person who through his energies is making this temple run. So similarly, Lord Narayan in his beautiful transcendental form is residing in his own abode. But through his energies, he is maintaining and controlling the whole creation. So in order to give the people who are less intelligent, who accept that there is no form conception of the God, for them this kind of understanding is given at Virat Purusha. So in this Virat Purusha, it is said, when the primeval Lord Narayan created his universal body, that is Virat Purusha, then he entered within that universal body by his own plenary portion. So he created his form. What is that form? This whole material universe he created. And in this material universe, he entered as a Paramatma, which we call Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Okay? So that is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. There is one more Vishnu named Karanodakshaya Vishnu. he enters, or you can say he lies down in the causal ocean, Karan Samudra. So he is also Paramatma for the whole cosmic manifestation, the we call Tripad Vibhuti and Ekpad Vibhuti. So 1/4 of the Lord material creation, the material creation's Paramatma is Karundakshay Vishnu, and for every Brahmanda, Garbhodakshay Vishnu is the Paramatma, and for every Jiva within the body, Kshirodakshay Vishnu is the Paramatma. So in this way, 3 Vishnus becomes the 3 Paramatma of different structures. I understand that it will be difficult to comprehend, but again, let us try. The first Purusha is called Karunakshay Vishnu. He is the Paramatma of whole material cosmos. Material, everything that is materially observable, his Paramatma is Karunakshay Vishnu. Sometimes we call by the name Mahavishnu also, from whom all Brahmanda comes out. Have you seen the photo where Lord Vishnu's body pores, many Brahmandas, universes coming out? So that is Mahavishnu or Karunakshay Vishnu. He is the Paramatma of whole cosmic creation. Material cosmic creation. The second Purusha is Garbhodakshay Vishnu. He enters into each Brahmanda. Now Mahavishnu created all Brahmandas, and within each Brahmanda, Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters. So he is the Paramatma of that Brahmanda. Okay? And within each living entity, there is one more Paramatma called Kshirodakshay Vishnu. He is the Paramatma within everyone's heart. So in that way, there are 3 Paramatmas. They are known by the name Purusha. Now here, some words are very much important. I will take 2 words. One is called Purusha. Now the Purusha word is very significant. Srila Prabhupada says there is only one Purusha in this creation, that is Lord Vishnu. Everyone else is a Prakriti. Prakriti means female, Purusha means male. So sometimes we see, okay, I will ask you some simple question. If I call somebody as a mother, does that personality becomes a mother just by physical appearance, or she becomes a mother by her qualities? What do you say? Just by giving birth to a child, can a woman become mother? Yes or no? Or by taking care of the child, a woman becomes a mother? Both. Very nice. Now there is problem in that again. He says both. Okay, I will ask you one more to make the things very easy. I will ask you the sentence and I will say which is correct. There is a sentence: a child gives birth to a mother. A child gives birth to a mother. Is this assessment right or wrong? How is it a child? How can child gives birth to a mother? But child cannot give birth, right? If you see medically, this statement is false. But philosophically, it is right. So it depends on in which perspective you are seeing the things. When you say physically a woman gives birth to a child, she is a mother. That is medical understanding. But a philosophical understanding is that unless she really takes care of the child with the proper, samskaras and sanskars, everything, Till that time she cannot be called a mother if she cannot deliver the child. Deliver in the sense, deliver from material existence. That is also been said like that. So, there is a difference. So, just by giving a birth, a woman cannot become a mother. Similarly, just having a Purusha body or just having a female body, one cannot be called as a woman or not can be called as a male or a man also. We may have a male body, I may have a male body, but if my qualities, if my gunas are like a female, then so within the male body, I am a female expression. I have a female expression. We call something that a female is trapped in a male body. We can say like that. Or sometimes in a female body, there is a person with a male gunas. Like generally, the Purusha understanding is that Ishwaratva is the quality of a Purusha. And Namatva or submissiveness, obedience, tolerance is the guna of the Prakriti. So when we see the Ishwaratva bhav, when we see the dominance nature of in that body, in the person, we understand this is a Purusha behavior. Whether he is in the male body or a female body, that doesn't matter. But when there is a submissiveness, there is obedience, there is humility, that is a Prakriti bhav, that is feminine nature. Whether that nature is in the male body or the female body, that doesn't matter. So body doesn't matter, it is the guna that makes a person Purusha or a Prakriti. Prabhupada says there is only one Purusha in this creation, and that is Krishna. And a Jiva is a Prakriti. So, if Jiva is a Prakriti, then what quality Jiva should have? Obedience, submissiveness, humility, right? But the problem is that the Jiva is trying to go out of his way to become a Purusha. He wants to be a Ishwar bhav. He wants to have an Ishwar bhav, and that's why he comes into this material world. Because in the spiritual world, there is only one Ishwara, only one Purusha, and that is Krishna. There cannot be two Purusha there. So whenever a Jiva wish to have this Ishwaratva bhav, he is sent in this material world. So if we have to go out of the material world, go back home, back to Godhead, we have to give up the tendency of this Purushatva nature. Every one of us, whether one is a male body or in a female body. Now you will say, Prabhu, how can a female have a Purushatva bhav? It's very easy. You must have seen, sometimes Mataji in the household, she dominates. She say, I have the remote, I will see whatever I want to see. So she dominates. Sit here, eat that, go there, bring that. What is this? Again, Purushatva bhav. So as long as this Purushatva bhav is there, we will remain in this material world. Then you will say, so Prabhuji, shouldn't we manage the house? Yes, we have to manage the house, but in a Prakriti bhav, in a humble, pleasing, tolerant way. Because as long as we maintain this Purushatva nature, we have to remain in this material world. We have to. Even in the temple or in the devotee circle also, we may see some people are dominating in nature. Some people want to dominate. Oh Prabhu, you should do that. And some people, some devotees are very humble. They say, yes Prabhu, I will follow what you say. So even in that situation, the more we go closer to our original nature of a Prakriti, the Jiva is a Prakriti. To that extent, our chances of going back home, back to Godhead is higher. And to the extent we dominate, we try to control, we want to become a Ishvara or we want to become a Prabhu or master, to that extent we will remain in this material world. Whether you be a Mataji or Prabhuji, it doesn't matter. Whether you are a male body or a female body, the Swabhava, Purushatva Swabhava and Prakriti Swabhava, that is what is important. So that is what is we have to realize. Now second thing Prabhupada writes, I will, in the purport, Prabhupada uses the word unfortunately. Now you will say, so what is big significance of this word unfortunately? Here Prabhupada says, unfortunately the consciousness manifest under the modes of material nature is governed by ahankar or false ego, in which the living entity wrongly considers himself the enjoyer of the material elements. Unfortunately, word is important because we, as we all think, in this world, if you see, if you want to become successful in any area, you need to develop a Purushatva Bhava. Yes or no? You should be ambitious. You should be, target oriented. Now, all this in whole of the creation, in the material world, you will see all the propaganda is only one thing. You have to become a Purushatva Bhava. If you don't have this Purushatva Bhava, you will be exploited or you will be abused. That is what is understanding. And because of that, everyone is trying to dominate, everyone is trying to excel in its every aspect. That is this material world. We are being bombarded from the very childhood that we have to develop this Purushatva Bhava. But in Krishna consciousness, we asked you to take a opposite role. That is Prakriti Bhava. So the person is confused. Should I behave in a Purushatva manner or should I behave in a Prakriti manner? Now, when this conflict is there, people are so frustrated that sometimes they give up bhakti altogether, not realizing how should I behave. Should I be obedient? Should I be tolerant? Should I be humble? If I tolerate everything, if I always obey everything, then other person will dominate me, other person will exploit me. That fear is always there. But to be frank, to be very, very frank, whether you like it or not, we have to become a Prakriti Bhava, Swabhava. Nobody can dominate us. There is one story of Narada and a snake. You have heard that story? The Narada and a snake? Okay, I will tell you a small story so that we can complete this point. So there was once a snake who used to always bite the people, whoever is passing by from the road. So people were very afraid. So once Narada was passing through that road and the snake came, started hissing on him, and Narada said, why you are so envious? Why you are troubling the people? And the snake said, it is my Swabhava. It is my nature. What can I do? Just like people say, oh Prabhu, this is my nature. This is my nature. This is how I am. If you can deal with it, that's okay. Otherwise, you can leave me. It is not expected from a devotee. We have to change our Swabhava. It is not beneficial for bhakti. So Narada Muni asked him, change your Swabhava. This Swabhava is not good for you. So because of the preaching of Narada Muni, the snake agreed and he gave up his Swabhava of biting, troubling the people. So what happened? Narada left, and after that, that snake became very humble and obedient. So when the people saw, the village people saw, their snake is now not biting or not becoming or not attacking, they started throwing stones at him and started injuring him. The blood is oozing from his body, and this snake somehow saved his life, ran away outside. After many days, Narad Muni again came from that side, and the snake he saw the snake is injured. Blood is oozing out of his body. Narada asked, what happened? Snake said, oh Narad Muni, your instructions are very wrong. You instructed me not to bite, not to attack. See how the people are treating me. They are abusing me. They are exploiting me. They think that I am a coward. Because of you, your instruction, I am going through all this suffering. Narad Muni said, I told you to give up your sabha, but that doesn't mean you cannot make other people afraid of you. You just have to show this fangs. People will run away. You don't need to bite the people unnecessarily. If somebody tries to exploit you, somebody tries to abuse you, just try to make them fearful, that's all. No need to change your sabha. Just show them that I am not going to be dominated by you, that's all. But you should not dominate others. So then, from that day onwards, he never bite anyone, never attacked anyone, but anybody who tried to attack him, harm him, he immediately took up his own hoods out. People become afraid. So similarly, a devotee should live in this world. A devotee should be a prakriti bhav inside, but people should understand we cannot exploit him. That is also should be there. Otherwise, this material creation will, in one sense, will trouble you, or it can distract you from your actual goal. So, two things, Purushat Bhav, and unfortunately, as Prabhupada says, we are being bombarded from very beginning of our life to develop the quality of a Purusha, which is against the Bhakti principle. We have to develop a Prakriti Sabhav. The more we develop Prakriti Sabhav, the more we will be closer to Krishna. Okay? So, this is what we will have to, I try to find out certain meaning from this. So, thank you very much. I hope there are no questions. Right? No questions? Oh, Papri. Subal Prabhu. You have to answer your own questions.
It's a nice class, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One thing that is totally correct, because you quoted Srila Prabhupada describing the Virat Purusha as imaginary. And I remember also in the second canto, the beginning of the second canto, Srila Sukadev Goswami describes that as an imaginary form that is specifically recommended for yogis that are not, that they don't accept the personal form of the Lord. So they have to, they can't accept the Paramatma, they can't meditate on the Paramatma. Because the whole instruction is that, you must perform this meditation on Paramatma and trying to see the form of the Lord and meditate in the form. But those who have don't accept that conception, then what about them? Maharaj Parikshit asked. And then they should meditate in this Virat Purusha, and then they have to imagine this form, that the rivers and the trees and this and that. On the other hand, then we have in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna actually saw the Virat Purusha. Krishna showed him the form. And he describes it as a form. This form is overwhelming, and please show your beautiful, two-handed form. So he actually was given these divine eyes to be able to see that form. So in one sense, we have this imaginary form for those who are non-devout, or at least, they don't accept the form of the Lord. And then you have this form that is actually part of the vibhutis of the Lord. So can you comment on that?
Prabhu, you know the answer. Maybe it is much better if you can answer it. Okay, I will try, but you are, feel free, you correct me also for that. Okay, so Prabhu, you are right. Virata Purusha is an imaginary form. It doesn't exist actually. But then how Krishna showed that same Virata Rupa form to Arjuna? It is by Krishna's inconceivable power. Only Krishna can do that. Something which is imaginary, something which is inconceivable, even Krishna can show the same, that those things by his inconceivable powers. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita so that Arjuna, nobody before nor even in future will be able to see this kind of form. Nobody has seen this form before. I am showing it this to you. And he said that I will give that transcendental eyes to you to see this form. This shows that nobody has seen this form before. The reason is that nobody like Arjuna requested the Lord in that way. So, it is Krishna only who can show this, something which is imaginary, something which doesn't exist, but Krishna through his power he can show it. That's what I understand, Prabhu. Kindly correct me if with other addition on that.
Conceivable potency of the Lord, the achintya.
Achintya Shakti of the
Achintya
Lord.
Shakti. That, but in one sense, this universal form, it's just like the description of the material nature is described as illusory, but it's actually an energy, so it's an eternal energy, so it does exist. But
Not in physical form, I'm saying. It exists. I mean, I said it doesn't exist means in physical form nature. It doesn't exist.
yes, that's the part that it gets confusing, because on the other hand, one of the descriptions of being an illusion is the temporary nature. It's here now, the next time it's gone, finished. So it's really the non-permanent, just like that verse in the Bhagavad Gita, the non-permanent appearance. All those who are seers of the truth, analyzing, they can see that this material energy, it have no substance because it's impermanent. So from that perspective, we can understand the illusory nature of these things. But anyway, this is big philosophy stuff. I'm going back there. Thank you so much for your class, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
So just a comment. I was thinking on it.
Comment, yes.
So form is imaginary, but the aspects of that form, they are real. For instance, we say the trees are like the hairs of the imaginary form. Then the rivers, they are like the veins in the imaginary form. He also gave the example of temple president and other devotees. So devotees are real, but that form is imaginary. That is one thing. And another thing, when you were answering, I was just thinking, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed Virata Rupa to Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu. And even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that this Virat Rupa is rare, but even rare is my two-handed form. So that form is even rarer to see.
Yes, yes. Only Krishna can show that form. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I hope we can stop here, because now we can go for another form. To see the another form of the Lord. Prasada. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki